What's up, you guys? Listen, I know you've already heard David has been made an official suspect with the LAPD, but new information is coming back. How did they actually get to the point of naming him as a suspect? Well, guess what? It looks like someone close to David in his inner circle is actually talking, and the police are moving in because it appears the police have said that there was more than one person involved. Most likely he had help. You guys, let's get into this because this case is moving in lightning speed. The only question is, who was the persons involved? Because if you guys don't know, Justice for Celeste on Reddit, Rhea on Reddit, also RIA on Reddit, also Justice for Celeste on TikTok was the first time to break the news that everybody knew about that little girl being in David's inner circle. Not only did they know, they helped, they joked, they partied with, they had a good old time. I'm gonna actually play the video on the screen, and what you're actually seeing is David's inner circle. I believe it was a holiday party or a lunch party. They were celebrating the tour or something or other. All these people were in his inner circle, and they are zooming in and showing how each person not only knew about Celeste, but was with Celeste. And when you saw Celeste, her frame, her height, and her age, it is almost impossible that anybody thought that girl was more than 12 or 13. I know there's been a lot of footage that leaked from neighbors and video cams of her being a bad little kid. Spoiler alert. Yes, I assume she had a chip on her shoulder. I assume she was a bad little kid. Happy, well-adjusted people do not run away from home. Happy, well-adjusted people do not move in with their grown boyfriend. To me, it makes it even more tragic because everybody failed her. Everybody exploited her. Who's the people on David's side? Well, David. He definitely exploited her, but the people around him exploited her too. Because when Celeste was around, she made him more creative. She made him easier to do around. He would keep up with the grueling schedule. I think that David's team allowed Celeste around because it made it easier for him to get to work, to control him, or whatever. Maybe they moralized it as, oh, well, that's his muse. Okay, a little kid is your muse and you're allowing that to happen? Whatever. In any case, who could be flipping, okay? Many people have surmised that it is actually David's manager. I don't think so, but it is David's manager. What is the evidence that the police have that people say that this is proof that somebody has flipped? The Santa Barbara trip. The Santa Barbara trip. David took a trip out to Santa Barbara in the middle of the night for no apparent reason, stayed out there for hours at a time, and then came back. What is the significance of that? We don't know, but the LAPD does, and the Santa Barbara trip, they're saying this information was given to the LAPD. And since it was given to the LAPD feels like they're putting all of the pieces in order. They are going to make an arrest. However, they're waiting for the autopsy for the exact charges and to see the breadth of people that are going to be arrested. Now and again, is this a surprise? No. Have we been waiting for this? Absolutely. There were even people that said that Celeste was not dismembered in a car, which we call cap on, because of course she was. Of course she was. In the first earliest reports, that's what it came back. The police pulled back. But now I understand why the police pulled back, because they were waiting for somebody in his inner circle to crack. Somebody in his inner circle to actually crumble. Again, sources with the police investigation revealed that in spring of 2025, and let's not forget the timeline for when Celeste went missing. I believe sometime in 2025, in the spring of 2025, was the last time that she actually called home. Anyway, also in the spring of 2025, I believe that is when David moved into his multi-million-dollar mansion, rental, but still multi-million. It's also, I believe, when he signed on the dotted line to go on an overseas tour. Now, I have always said, if you guys haven't watched my stuff, let me just put this out here, right? Here's my thing on what I think happened. I think David murked Celeste, and I think a lot of people helped. I think a lot of people noticed she was missing. Even if they didn't help, I think a lot of people knew that they were a couple. I think all that stuff was going on. Now, just rock with me for a second. I think that they drove up to Santa Barbara and stayed there for a few hours because they were thinking about what to do. How do they dispose of it? That could have been when the cutting happened. Again, let's not forget they raided his house. They couldn't find anything. Why? Because cutting up is very, very messy. Don't let movies fool you. It's very messy. The fact that they found no evidence, we on this channel said for a while, have actually said that it happened someplace else. Happening around Santa Barbara might have been what happened. That's where the crime was committed, at least the crime of, right? I'm not being disrespectful. I am trying to talk around the algorithm. You know, it is what it is. Y'all know. It's YouTube. You know how things work. I believe then they drove the car back to California. I believe with David and his connections, they were looking for someone to take the car and maybe drive it south of the border or take the car somewhere in the forest or the desert and do what it does with Celeste's stuff. Okay? I think they paid someone, or maybe the person that helped was supposed to do it. I think once the car was parked on the street, I think they got spooked because you never know. The car was parked on the street. If they took possession of the car, that would have been a time for the police to be like, aha, got you. I think they were paranoid. I think they were watching the car, trying to make sure there were no police watching and it wasn't a setup. Let's not forget, those people knew what was in the Tesla trunk. Who was in the Tesla trunk? I then believe that what happened is, since it's an affluent neighborhood, the people that were in the neighborhood were annoyed that a car was just sitting on the street gathering dust. Let's not forget that that car had been parked in several locations getting parking tickets around Los Angeles. I think each time that it was time to take possession, they got spooked again. I think when the neighbors called for the car, when it finally in the resting place of David's house, I think that they were going to, the people that were involved in Celeste's disappearance were going to take the car and take Celeste somewhere and put her somewhere. However, once it got impounded, no one dared take the car because from an impound lot, you have to show ID, you have to show ownership, you have to show all this, okay? I think that whoever was involved knew about Malibu, ratted on David and the people that were helping him. Maybe it's somewhere in this video, right? And that's actually what happened. Now, why David did that and how he did it, we're going to have to wait for the autopsy. But my mind is drawn to David's manager. I know a lot of people focus on on Celeste's family, which I always thought was wrong because, listen, Celeste could have came from the worst family in the world. Everybody that shared her blood could have treated her like horribly. And that still in my mind never took away from the fact of, but she was found chopped up. She was found in David's car. In David's car, and she was found in his Tesla. He had to either get the key or access. That Tesla was never reported stolen, nothing. So in my mind, he and his inner circles were always the prime suspect. Again, my mind is drawn to his manager. My mind is drawn to his manager. Do y'all remember this? When his manager disavowed everything and said he didn't know anything that was going on. He said, and remember when he tried to turn it into a pity party for himself? This little girl that you knew, what you had to know, maybe you didn't know her age. She looked older for it. I don't know. I'm guessing that you knew about based off of the picture evidence. And you know that she has been found tragically passed away in one of your biggest clients' cars, right? Double tragedy. Listen to what they said. Listen to what he said. I never received any emails. I had zero knowledge of anything, and I don't live in California. He commented this on a TikTok. Also, I work remotely 95% of the time, and my job doesn't require me to have much interaction with any of my clients, David, as there are many others that work with him on a day-to-day capacity, not me. Okay, well, already in that, you guys know from my old video, I was side-eyeing it because it's like, you work remotely 95% of the time. But what about the 5%? Do you see David? And your job doesn't require you to have much interaction with any of your clients? David? Okay, it doesn't require you, but how have you had? Why was his name thrown into the mix? Because he rented the place for David, and the owner, I believe, was under the impression that David and the guy lived together. Well, anyway, he says that's not true, but listen to what else he said. They also said, the manager Marshall continued. Marshall's his last name. This news is tragic for so many and for her family. This news is tragic for so many and for her family. I hope the proper authorities get to the bottom of it soon. Let me remind people that a lot of this speculation is speculation and alleged. In the meantime, I'm with my family helping them emotionally get through the news of this tragedy. Please report on factual information. Now, even people with shading, they said it's unclear if the tragedy he's referring to is Celeste Rivas Hernandez's passing. However, I am with my family helping them emotionally get through the news of this tragedy. Did your family know her? Have they met her? Did they play together? I believe he has a daughter a little bit older than Celeste by a year or two. Again, I thought it was an interesting use of words. This was in a TikTok comment. He did confirm that that was his TikTok comment. I find it odd that you went to TikTok to make statements. I find it odd, the reaction. I found it really, really interesting. Now, this is not to say that he is a person of interest. This is not to say that he's the person that rightfully turned David in and told the authorities what he knows. This is to say that there is photographic evidence that a lot of people in David's circle not only knew Celeste, David's circle and family, not only knew Celeste, knew of Celeste, but was with Celeste. Anyway, you guys, listen, people are expecting an arrest soon enough. Whatever happened in Santa Barbara, yeah, and let's not forget David's video, I believe, for romantic homicide. It looks like it could have been placed in Santa Barbara in the forest around there. The story is developing, but thank God we are finally going to get justice for Celeste. And my guess is that if David goes down, there's a lot of other people that are going to go down too. Shout out to whoever gave the LAPD this information. Again, it might have been people involved, but shout out to whoever gave LAPD the information, because for a while the LAPD was trying to act like Celeste put herself in the trunk, which was ridiculous, a theory to say. But we're finally getting to the bottom of this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'll talk to y'all later.